All right, God bless you. This is Minister Rogers on this day today, which is February the 7th, 2016. I want to go ahead and to take a few minutes and discuss a few things that have been on my mind. You know, I was thinking today as the brother was talking about how faith-based ministries compare so poorly to our fact-based ministry. And I want to ask you a question. What do you do when you walk outside and you see way up in the air? You look up in the sky and you see these huge chemtrails, or you just see a jet that just kind of blows you away. It's way up in the air. See a pretty blue sky, and you see this jet sitting by itself out there blowing out those white crystals of ice. As the moisture from combustion hits that cold air, it turns white. Or as a chemtrail. When you see one that's really impressive to you, what do? You're walking, and all of a sudden you look overhead, and it's up there, and it's just sitting by itself, but it's so far it amazes you, right? Well, God just showed me in a vision. That's what happens when we explain and tell people the things that He has given us in this ministry. It is so far over their heads that they do exactly pretty much what we do. They stop and they look. There's nothing to say. It's so beautiful. It's so different. It's so amazing. It's so awe-inspiring. It is so thought-provocative that when we see these jets overhead in that beautiful sky sitting alone, all we can do is ponder and be amazed. And this is probably why many of the people, when we give them some of the information that we get, they're so low, way down below us, that all they can do is just ponder and wonder, how in the world did you get that high in your intelligence? How did you get that high in your knowledge? How did you get that high to be able to stand on a position like that you stand on? And that's the amazement that this ministry gives wherever we go. Normally, if you see a little airplane come overhead, say if you're going somewhere and you see one of these little airplanes flying overhead, it doesn't impress you too much. You'll see it and look up, oh, okay. And if, say, we were up in an airplane at an altitude, many of you that have been on airplanes, you know, you look out the window, sometimes you see another airplane pass in close proximity to your airplane. And you see the same white trail coming out. It looks pretty. But then you're as amazed with your own flight as you are theirs. And you realize that you're up there sharing the same type of airspace. So you don't actually freeze when you see that. You don't get into amazement like that. What you do is you'll open up your magazine in the airplane or whatever and start to chit-chat and maybe talking about something else, but you don't just sit and become amazed. Once the people of the world eventually start to move higher, your words that you give, brothers and sisters, won't bedazzle and amaze the people so much. But right now, we're way up there at high flight levels, and many of these people have not gotten off the ground. They literally have not gotten their spiritual lives off of the ground. And some are just sitting in the hangar doing nothing, not even trying to fly, not trying to get up there and understand. Okay? So that's the difference. That's why they many times don't respond. There's just a gulf between the two. I remember Jesus gave an illustration he spoke about. He said to some people, he said, well, what's it like on the other side? He said, well, there's a gulf between you and us, that they cannot, if they would try to come, they can't cross it. So let's remember that we are far in advance in what we understand, and that is the mystery solved. Today, I wanted to actually talk with you for a few minutes about the pimples of life. And what I mean by that is simply this. Everybody knows what it's like to have a pimple. A pimple is a blemish. A pimple is filled with pus or white blood cells that are fighting some kind of bacteria. And pimples normally are frowned upon, or you try to get rid of pimples because the goal is to make that area of skin end up as smooth as the rest. And I want to talk to you and want you to think about you that are poor people, you that are not wealthy, you that are minority people, and particularly blacks, that in the society that we live in, you are a pimple. You are a blemish. You are a shame. You are an undesired. You are a part of the system and a part of everything, but you are not that which is desired. You are a pimple in the complexion of life in America. We as pimples, or should we say those who are pimples, become dealt with in many ways because society is trying to clear us up, smooth us out, spread us around so that we really don't show, cover us up. They place a foundation of a lot of things on us to try to keep us from being seen so that everything appears to be nice. Or they try to eliminate our numbers through chemicals and so forth, just like they do pimples, right? Because the goal is not reality. The goal is superficiality, where people are looking at something and they want it to look in accordance to what they consider beautiful, pretty, acceptable. It's not acceptable to see poor people in a place where there's prominent business. It's not acceptable to see homeless people. It's not acceptable to see the beggars. It's not acceptable to see the sick. In some places of the world, it's not acceptable to see people killing animals that are on the endangered species list. It's not acceptable to see people burning thousands of acres of irreplaceable rainforest so they don't let the tourists go to that area. All of these things are the pimples of life. And so what do? They continue to disguise, to cover up that which they cannot really apparently get rid of, because pimples keep popping up. As soon as you get rid of one, there's another problem. Then you have incidents like Ferguson, where pimples were seen all over the place. Black people dissatisfied. So they sent their supposedly preachers and politicians to cover it up, to put some foundation on it. Not to get rid of the problem, but so it still looks pretty to the rest of the world. It's a pimple, right? And pimples are not desirable in our society. So the reality of the situation for we that are pimples, or those who are pimples, yeah, you're unwanted, and you know that you're unwanted. You're undespised. You're not wanted in the places where you desire to be, and it's going to always be that way, and it hasn't changed in our society. Pimples are actually doing a lot of good. Because pimples are there because there is some type of foreign matter. Something is wrong up under the surface. And see, in America, doesn't want you to see up under the surface. They want you to see the surface and trust them about what's going on up under the surface. They don't want you to research the labels of what's in your food. They just want you to look at the surface packaging, right? They don't want you to look at the surface, below the surface of what's written in the new laws. They just want you to trust in the big words. In other words, they don't want you to see the fine print. They just want you to see the category of the print. We have a problem, people, because there's very few that are digging down, getting to the core of the pimple. Pimples have cores. Sometimes situations in life or situations around that pimple will squeeze it, constrict it. You know, they try to keep pimples in one spot so that it doesn't spread. So as many of the people and many of us, say in ghettos and projects and in the hood, they've got us in those pimples, right? Some of the other pimples out there are the different places where they have placed Indians and so forth on the reservations. That's another pimple. And you find these pimples all over the globe where the unwanted is placed in a certain place. But these pimples reflect a problem. And these pimples are there because there is a problem. And at the very core of every pimple, if you can deal with it at its core, you can eliminate that pimple and the problem will clear up. Many times you squeezed it or situations squeeze it and the core pops out. Sometimes it leaves a mess when it pops out. But after that, if you can get it to come to a head and burst, then you can clear that situation up at that point for good. What is needed in life and what's happening now is the world that we live in is squeezing us to a head. It's getting tight. It's getting very uncomfortable. It's getting painful. Let them keep the pressure on. Oh, yeah. And we will come to a head. And we will burst. And things will get better. What does it mean, though, when you force the most dejected people who were the most powerful people on the face of the earth, when you finally make them erupt or burst? My question to America and the rest of the world is, what will happen to your world, to your peace, to your friends, to your safe havens, when you finally put so much pressure on that those black people that you thought would forever be passive, burst, and may go against you with violence?